Hello, hello, and welcome. Welcome to the Pula and Nexford webinar. I'm so happy to see you all joining. Chukwuma, Leonard, Mubarak, Viola. We're going to give the room a few moments to fill up. And yeah, we'll give it a few moments to fill up, and appreciate everyone making the time in your day to join us. And you may all be joining from Kenya, but if you want to let me know where you're joining from, maybe you're joining from somewhere else. I'm joining from Malawi. You can let me know in the chat, and we can make sure that that is good to go and working. I'm happy to see you all here. Okay, Mercy, you're in Kenya. That's great. And I see you all have folks. Oh, okay, Viola, you're in Zambia, so I'm not too far away. Okay, Nigeria. We have a Pan-African group here, so that's exciting. Wonderful. I think we're going to have a nice intimate session here today, so it can be interactive, and I'll love to hear from you all in the chat. Okay, with Chukwuma, you're in Nigeria. That's great. We have a lot of Nexford folks in Nigeria. Well, yeah, I'll just give it another moment to see if we have other folks joining. But again, my name is Jennifer Bongora, and I'm with Nexford University. And I have a little bit of a cold today, so I'm sorry my voice is a little cold-like, but I am excited to be here with you. I think we'll go ahead and get started. So let me just give me a moment to set up shop here. Just a second. Okay, great. I'll go ahead and share my screen. And if you can just give me in the chat either a yes or a, if you can see my screen, that'll be helpful. I just want to make sure that we are all looking at the same thing. You can see my standout from the crowd. Let's see. Great, wonderful. Thank you very much. So hi. Here's a brief agenda that'll guide our call today, so you all know when I'll be starting and stopping. And again, we have, I think there's 6 of us here in the room, or 7. So please, I am happy to receive your questions throughout in the chat. Since it's just a few of us, it's okay to put it in the chat. Otherwise, if we were a lot, we could put it in the Q&A, but I can answer them as they come in. But so I'll do some brief introductions. I'll talk about Nexford University, who we are, skills for success based on our research and our workforce aligned curriculum. I want to touch on some work-study balance and learning how some techniques and tools for upskilling while working full-time, because that's something that can be really important when you're thinking about your own professional development. How do you manage it all? And tips for developing a continuous learning mindset. And then finally, a Q&A. But again, if you have questions throughout, I will be more than happy to receive them in the chat. So to get started, some introductions. My name is Jennifer Bongora, and I am Nexford University's Director of Career Innovation. And so what that means is all I think about is the career success of our learners and alumni. So that is connecting with companies like Pula, who are innovative and forward-thinking and could be interesting potential places of employment for our Nexford community, and also who are going to provide the insights and industry expertise that inform our curriculum, but also, when people are thinking about what kind of skills do I need to build, they want to think about that in the context of companies where they can apply those skills and jobs that they can have. So that's one part of my work. We also have a mentorship program that I'll touch on briefly that I oversee. And then finally, the career development for our enrolled learners and alumni. So anything from career material review and preparation to LinkedIn strategies and interviewing techniques. We also use another platform, so making sure that our learners are directed to that platform to pivot and promote in their current careers. And my background is in online higher education and career services. So I'm originally from the US, but currently live in Malawi in Southern Africa, and I have spent my career working with youth and graduate students, thinking about that education to employment pipeline, and how do we take what we're learning in the classroom and actually apply it to our careers. Excuse me. And so here is a little bit more about Nexford University. Our mission is to enable greater social and economic mobility by providing learners access to high quality, affordable, dynamic online education that prepares them for the global workforce. And so just a few of the key points that you see, we're 100% online. We're licensed in the United States in Washington, D.C. We have over 4,000 learners in over 85 countries. We really are learner-centric, future-focused, and mission-driven. We have a stackable credential model. So we have courses that take about 4 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks, that build into certificates that take 5 to 6 months, undergraduate degrees, and MBAs, MBA programs. So there's a little bit of something for everyone. And then we also start on the 1st of every month. So these are a few of the unique features that when you're thinking about your own development and pursuing continuous learning, that I think set Nexford apart. We also have a very low cost model, especially considering being licensed in the United States. And so it's about $90 a month for all the programs up through undergraduate, and then about $180 per month for the MBA. We do have a discount available for Pula employees, since you all are a part of our Career Coalition. And I have a link for that at the end of the presentation. Here's just a picture, we're about who we are. And when we say learner-centric, future-focused, mission-driven, I think a lot of us can think that people get caught up in the buzzwords of this, and what does that really mean? So when we say learner-centric, we are a unique university in that we are, held to the rules and regulations of higher education and soon to be accredited, but licensure and all the things that we have to adhere to with that. But then at the same time, we are a venture-backed startup, and so we are nimble. We understand the importance of our product, our education, actually answering a need in the market. And what the need that we found is really building a curriculum and educational experience that responds to what companies are looking for today. And so we've done that by surveying companies, also scraping job descriptions to really pull out what are companies, not only what do they say they want, but what are they actually hiring for? And then we've reverse engineered that into our curriculum to embed that within each of our courses, certificates, and degree programs to make sure that when people walk away from our programs, they actually have the tools and skills that they need to land the jobs that are out there today, not jobs that existed 30 years ago. And that's that future focused part. So we want to make sure that, as we all know, careers are shifting and evolving rapidly. You no longer get into one job and sit in it for the next 30 years. And also there's great opportunity, especially when I think about, I see Pula and the great work that you're doing. You all are iterating and evolving and shifting your own strategies and priorities. And so you need to be able to be responsive to that, to the shifts in your own company. And so something that's baked in throughout our curriculum is innovation and building those problem-solving muscles and critical thinking. And then we're also mission-driven. Like I said before, at the base and core of what we do is building socioeconomic mobility. And so we really believe in the value of quality education, helping to drive socioeconomic mobility for our learners. And here's just a visualization to give you an idea. Like I said, we have this stackable model. So you could start with a course, maybe try something out. And then if you were to say, and I'll give you an overview of the different types of courses. But, so say you want to pursue something in agribusiness, that's aligned with the work that you all are doing. You might take a course, and then if you decide to pursue a certificate, which is built up of around, I think, 4 different courses, 4 to 5, you don't start from scratch when you start a certificate. You're going to take the course that you've done, and that's going to go work toward your certificate. And the same works for the degrees. So that's kind of exciting that your prior experience and credits can be applied. And here we really value, having a whole ecosystem of support and real world practical experiential learning for those who are enrolled in Nexford offerings. So through Forage, we are able to offer those experiential learning opportunities where you do micro internships. Again, this is while you're working in your full-time job, but to understand case studies and applications for different concepts and business practices. We use Localized as our career services platform. So we have an ongoing steady stream of webinars and interviews to give you insights into other industries so that you can then think about how to apply that in your own work, no matter where you are. Everyone who enrolls in our courses also has access to LinkedIn Learning. So we have those micro credentials through LinkedIn Learning if you're wanting to brush up on a different topic or area. JobScan is for career materials. I think too, what I've experienced with learners in the past is that when they're wanting to prepare themselves for promotions internally, sometimes it's like, oh gosh, I've been in my job for however long and I haven't had to think about, thankfully, updating my CV or the cover letter. It's great to have these refreshers throughout your Nexford experience on making sure that your materials are up to date. So when those internal opportunities become available, that you're ready. And then we also have the global grid, which it was exciting to see in the chat, even with our group here today, we have people from Nigeria, Kenya, Zambia, my colleagues in South Africa, I'm in Malawi. So we have mentors globally from the US, Nigeria, the Philippines, all over the world, really, who are providing insights, again, in their specific industry, but also more broadly what they've experienced and success in their careers. So now I want to shift a little bit. I'd messaged with Lynn and Mercy to talk about what are some of the key points that you all want to build in certain, in terms of skills development internally. And from research that we draw from, again, for our own curriculum, but also industry-wide, what we see, that these are some of the top in-demand skills for success in the 21st century workplace. So digital literacy, data analytics, product management, communication, and problem solving. These are not, someone being having skills in data analytics is no longer relegated to just being on the data science team. We all need to have, at least a surface understanding of, how to have good data, what to do with it, how to use it to make our case. And these are skills that, again, are baked within and throughout our curriculum. But it's not enough just to know what those skills are. You really need to, understand how to acquire them, set goals to achieve them, and then iterate to improve. So these are just some advice that, I encourage learners to adopt of researching and understanding what skills you need to succeed in your current job, figuring out how to acquire them. Of course, I think Nexford has some great options for, how to do that. And then actually putting them into practice. And what we see, and again, my colleague who's on the call here, Roshan, she works with a lot of our learners and alumni on their testimonials and hearing about their story and what their Nexford experience has meant to them. And many of them are currently working like you all, and they have the opportunity to not just, set aside a discrete time for, okay, this is my learning time and this is my work time, but it's really an integrated and blended experience. So they are, maybe at night working on their coursework, and then the next day they're actually able to take that into the workplace and apply it to their, innovating in their daily work, which is really exciting. I also really enjoyed seeing this post and research into these meta skills. So people say that, hard skills or technical skills will help you land a job, but these meta skills can help you build a career. And so I have the source linked here that I'll share a PDF of this presentation after. But I just wanted to briefly go over them here. And again, most of these skills you'll see, and I'm gonna share my screen to take a look at our different program offerings so that you can see them. But these are embedded throughout our courses and certificates and degree programs. So first is the ability, is communication. So listening without interrupting, speaking with a positive tone, paying attention to your body language and how important that is. Second is self-awareness. So really being curious. And obviously you are taking that first step by even being here on this webinar today. But the value of curiosity and actually pursuing and paying attention to your different thoughts and feelings and which situations around you are triggering your curiosity. Time management, which I know can be very challenging with so many different priorities. So learning how to prioritize, delegate, and when to say no. Then we have storytelling. So thinking about, and this is something I can tell that Pula is very good at, because I see on your different social media posts, but when you think about it at the individual level, how are you telling your story? How do people know who you are, what you value, what you care about, and what also positioning yourself in that future focused state, what you want people to perceive you as. So think about what problem you're trying to solve and showing people how you will help them solve that problem. So that's a little storytelling. Next, we have grit. So this really applies to your professional development and lifelong learning. So it's ability to identify a goal, practice it every day, and find ways to maintain your motivation. Of course, I am biased, but at Nexford, we know that grit happens from our intrinsic motivation and ourselves, but also when you have a strong support system around you, including your colleagues at Pula, your friends and family, and of course your Nexford community of advisors, career support, faculty who are here to support you. Next is prioritizing, creating a list of things that are really important, ranking them by urgency, doing those things in that order, and then delegating out what you can't do yourself. Next is decision making and being able to really make critical and hard decisions, connecting the dots. And this is something that I get very excited about when I think about institutional knowledge, and when you have a company and you think about where can I find somebody for a specific role or to help on this project, and being able to look internally and think, oh yes, I saw Leonard or Viola raise their hand for these different opportunities. Now I'm reminded and I'm able to connect the dots between them and this new project or initiative that we're pursuing. And so thinking about that from a top down, but also from a bottom up, and you as the employee being able to help connect the dots for other people. Finally, we have 3 more: emotional intelligence. So, not acting impulsively, taking a step back when you're upset, and understanding what you're feeling, and really being able to articulate that for yourselves and other people. Next, resilience. This one can be really hard, and this is doing things that maybe you are not qualified to do, but putting in that grit and that effort and learning. Reframing failure as a learning opportunity. And I think especially in the startup space, as I'm sure you all can appreciate, there are so many times when you just need somebody who's going to raise their hand and invest their time and energy into finding a solution, because sometimes it hasn't been done before what you're doing. And I even, watching the video of your founders, thinking about, you all are convincing farmers to buy something that they've never known to even buy before. So applying that same mindset of resilience to your own, work. And then finally, thinking clearly. So identifying biases to your thinking and that are undermining your thinking and being aware of them. So these are skills, again, that we have integrated throughout the Nexford curriculum, so that you not only understand the value of them, but you're also able to actually put them into practice for real world examples and project-based learning. So building out your own portfolio of experience to show and not just tell people that you understand these different skills. I'll pause there as I'm moving to the next slide, but please do, I have the chat open here on the other side. If you have any questions or comments throughout, I'm happy to receive them. I'm going to take a sip of tea so that I don't sound totally like a frog for the entire presentation. So next, I wanted to touch on just some different strategies for a work-study balance and learning how to upskill while working full-time. So this is coming from someone. I did my master's degree while working full-time. I was actually living in Mali in West Africa when I started my master's. There was the coup d'etat in 2012. It's been a long time. And I was evacuated back to the United States, still working on my master's degree in the midst of all the shift and upheaval. And then I actually finished my Doctor of Education in Organizational Change and Leadership in a fully online program. So I really appreciate how hard it can be to find and strike a balance while working and studying. I also have children, I'm married, I have all of these different responsibilities and competing at times priorities, of course. And in the end, I found real value, of course, well, not of course, but I have found value in pursuing my education and own professional development while also maintaining a full-time career. So I think I have five ways that you can apply different strategies and techniques. So the first is focusing on your why. So before you enter into any learning or commit yourself to something, I would want you to step back and think about, why am I doing this? And everyone has a different reason. When I've worked with students in the past, they'll say, someone once asked me, what's the perfect job? And it's like, I can't answer that for you because you and I are going to have different reasons. So for some people, it's hitting a certain salary. For others, it's a title. For some people, it's flexibility. For some people, it's the love of learning and actually skills acquisition and improving your understanding around something. And none of those are a wrong or bad or good or better answer, right? But for you, it's really helpful if you want to persist throughout any professional development. You need to have it even written down, and I have like some of my goals written here behind my computer, but what your why is. And this is again where it's really helpful having a supportive community around you. For Nexford, we have our success advisors who help you identify that why and then commit to it and check in on you and make sure you're staying the course to achieve that goal, whatever it may be. Next is mapping your time and eliminating distractions. This is also, none of this is easy. I'm not going to come here and tell you that what you're, if you're about to choose to embark on an MBA or a certificate, that it's going to be easy, because it won't. And when you know your why, it becomes a little bit easier to say no to things that are distracting you from achieving that goal. So here for me, where I found success and what I see for our learners is when you really look at your calendar, and maybe if you're able to overlay your work and your personal, and you think, where can I carve out time? Where can I make time to commit to my own development? So for some people, they do that early in the morning. Other people are better late at night. Some people like to block time on the weekends to commit to their development. Again, this is something that's a personal decision, but it's really going to help when you commit to that, especially when you have a concrete, specific time period. Okay, is it the next 6 months? Is it the next year? And knowing that this is not going to be forever, but it'll be for a specific, discrete period of time that you need to actually, buckle down and commit to the, whatever it is to achieving your goal. Next is building your community. So this to me is, one of the most important things that you can, when I see people who have success in their education, is when then they have a supportive community around you. And it doesn't just appear out of nowhere, right? It's you letting your friends and family know, I'm pursuing whatever it is, XYZ. I'm pursuing this learning, this certificate, this MBA, because, and this is where, you insert your why. I want to, get that promotion in the next review cycle, because I want to position myself to pivot into a new department, because I want to achieve this level or this type of role, because that will allow me, certain flexibility or, something within my career. Again, whatever it is for you, when you let people know why it is you're doing something, they want to be there. If people, hopefully you have, good folks around you, but they want to probably be your biggest cheerleaders and supporting you through your journey. Of course, you have to let them know. So this is a key thing. I think a lot of us want other people to be mind readers and just know what we need. But, that might be getting help with some more family tasks or support, childcare, whatever it might be, but letting folks know how they can support you. Because then you also want to find people with whom you can celebrate. And this is something that I love too, is not thinking, oh, just when I complete, at the terminal, when I finish the entire program or when I finish the whole degree, am I going to then celebrate? But finding ways to celebrate the smaller wins. Okay, like I'm finishing that course, or I did all of my schoolwork without losing sleep this week. How can I celebrate? Can I go out for a coffee with a friend, or put something on the calendar to work towards, get a massage, do something along those lines, so that you can really find other ways to motivate yourself throughout your program. So next, I want to talk about tips for developing this continuous learning mindset. And then this is going to be the close of the section here. And I have a source here. So if you want to click in and perhaps to have more information on this. Again, all of these tips that I'm sharing, it's to align with, so that you have success in whatever professional development path you choose to go down. Some people maybe, I think too, especially with social media, you see somebody post on LinkedIn, I've just achieved this certificate or this degree, and you think, oh, that just happened, like it just, like a snap of the fingers. And really on the back end, you can set yourself up for success when you apply some of these tools and strategies that I'm sharing with you today, because it takes a lot more than just making a social media post to get to that point. So that's my intention here, is wanting to set people up for success along the way. So first, for developing a continuous learning mindset is, again, thinking about growth. And this is where we had, on the work-study balance, when you focus on your why, you're more likely to have success in whatever program you're choosing to go into. But when you focus on your growth, this is what can help you to have that lifelong learning mentality. And this is when you hear about fixed mindset and growth mindset, that's what we mean here. So are you somebody who believes, what the skills and knowledge I have today is the skills and knowledge I'll have forever? If that's your mindset, you're going to have a hard time growing, right? Or advancing. But when you have a growth mindset of, okay, I'm facing something that's challenging or different, or that I haven't done before, and I think I have the capacity to grow into that and to achieve what it is that's ahead of me, that's that growth mindset. So just here, like studies have confirmed that it's not intelligence that creates expertise, but effort and practice. So you have it within you if you can put in the effort and iterate and continue and practice to achieve, whatever it is that you set ahead of you. So, and here just saying the most successful people devote the most hours to deliberate practice tackling tasks beyond their current level of competence and comfort, observing the results, and then making adjustments. So next, we have the advice to embrace the letter M. So before, we used to talk about the T competencies. So you'd have broad competencies at the top. That would be communication, problem solving, critical thinking, those skills that apply and are transferable across different jobs and careers. And before, we recommended that people have one deep expertise. So maybe that would be you work in marketing, or you are a journalist or a writer, or you are in finance. And so it was called the T shape. Well, now we talk about the M shape and becoming a serial master. And so that meaning that instead of developing one set of expertise, that throughout our careers, we're going to have to develop multiple pillars. And for having that continuous learning mindset, seeing that as an opportunity and not as an obstacle. And so this is what we believe in at Nexford, is that, finishing university with our undergrad is no longer going to be enough. We all are going to have to develop and build skills and different expertise to continue to be competitive throughout the career. And so this first bar here maybe is what you graduated with from your undergrad or from your initial studies. And then the middle bar might be when you pursue a certificate or your MBA. And then the third one being when you're continuing on and different stages and chapters of your career, continuing to add tools and skills to your tool belt. So next is, for developing a continuous learning mindset, is stretching. And so research shows that learning really only happens when we are stretching outside of our comfort zone. So I know it feels good to stay within what we know and to not get outside of what we're comfortable doing. And yet, if we want to grow, if we want to, pivot and promote in our careers, we really need to find opportunities to get outside of that comfort zone. So when people work on tasks that aren't entirely comfortable, they are said to be in their learning zone. And when they acquire new skill, where they acquire new knowledge and develop and practice new skills. Yeah, so next, we talk about building a personal brand. And this might conjure for you the idea of an influencer or somebody who is a CEO having a personal brand. But really, all of us have personal brands, whether it's intentional or accidental, right? This is what people know us for. So when you sit and think about, and this aligns with your self-awareness, we have things that we want to be known for, and then there's the reality of what we're known for, right? So that comes with, okay, I want to be perceived as somebody who is trustworthy, who is an expert in my whatever department it is that I work in, and who is innovative. Well, that could be how I want to be perceived. But then if I don't deliver on time the work that I've promised, if I don't have unique insights to share, then I'm not really living up to what that brand is. Okay, so there's a misalignment. And so what we really encourage our learners to develop throughout their program is building their personal brand. So having a focus, being genuine in what it is that they're, in their brand, telling a story and understanding how their narrative and different experiences have brought them to where they are today, being consistent in that narrative, being ready to fail and being okay with failure and picking yourself back up, so that grit and resilience coming into play, creating a positive impact, so being a good example for others, and following successful examples. So understanding, there are other people who have blazed trails before us, and so how can we learn from them and grow from their example? So living out your brand, so having that consistency of not having to turn on one personality when you're at work and another personality when you log off, but having that authenticity throughout. Letting others tell your story. So this can be one of the most powerful ways to build your brand, is when others are doing it for you. And again, sometimes this just happens through doing good work and making sure that others know about it. And so that when Mercy is in a room with somebody talking about promotion plans, or Lynn is, they know who has been raising their hands for taking on new projects and initiatives, and then they can actually tell your story for you because they're aware of it. And finally, leaving a legacy. And I have a link here to a blog post that we derived from a webinar with one of our mentors. Here too, finally, we have owning your development. And so it could, in an ideal world, maybe it would be great to think that somebody is going to knock on my door and say, Jennifer, here are the 5 things you need to do this quarter to have success. That would be great. And increasingly, we see the relevance and importance of owning our development and knowing what, identifying the skills that we need to build and then building them. So this includes, creating and executing learning goals. So to become and stay successful, people need to ask themselves, how can I ensure that I am more valuable at the end of the year than I was at the beginning? And individuals can create learning goals by assessing their current knowledge and expertise and identifying competency gaps. They should also plan to pursue the most important learning goals relentlessly, a trait that can become a competitive advantage. Some people ask, well, how do you do that? And I think a great place to start is taking a look at even the Pula careers page. I know that you all are continuing to hire. And what can be exciting to do is to look at roles that are a step or two above your current where you are, and look at the skills and think, really ask yourself, do I have when they're asking for these things in these different bullet points, are those skills that I have? If they aren't, how can I build them? Maybe that's through continuous learning. Maybe it's through raising your hand to take on a new assignment. You also need to be able to measure your progress. So you should periodically reflect and assess on how you're building those skills. So some people do this through a learning journal, which also can be very valuable. Actually writing down, here are the skills that I want to achieve. Here's the time by which I want to achieve them, and then taking time to sit back and reflect, maybe monthly or quarterly, how am I actually achieving them? We also see the value of working with mentors and really seeking feedback, because lifelong learners can forge a relationship with a mentor by letting different stakeholders know that they are open to feedback, and by setting up formal check-ins to review their work and get that feedback. This can be really hard to receive and ask for, and receive, but ultimately really helps us to grow. Excuse me. Here, we have this Japanese concept of finding your ikigai. And I want to share, let's see, I don't think I can copy this, but here, you want to ask yourself 4 questions. What do you love? What does the world need? What can you be paid for? And what are you good at? So those are very simple questions. And again, I have the source here. So if you want to do this exercise after the presentation, I encourage you to do it. Because that's where you find, this ikigai, or your center of what makes you come alive. And sometimes we can get that in our 9 to 5 in our work, and other times we need to find other ways to get that. Oh, I'm so sorry. I missed your question, Mercy. So how do you connect? Mercy had a great question of how do you connect your personal growth to business outcomes and impact? And this is a fabulous question. And what I encourage people to do is, so maybe you have strategic goals for the company, or you have your own mission or values, and depending on how developed a company is, it's going to be it might be very specific of increased number of policies sold to X amount, right? And then it's working backwards and thinking, well, what is my job today? Maybe I'm a sales associate, or I'm on the marketing team, and thinking about, okay, how can I build about 3 to 5 goals that are going to work toward achieving the different objectives our company has laid out. And for me, the easiest way to do that is actually either, with pen or paper, or opening up a Word document and actually visualizing it. Because, and this too, I think is something that comes about best when you have a strong community with you, when you can have an honest conversation with your manager or with a colleague and your boss, whoever it is, and think about, okay, here's it's also good clarification, like here's my understanding of what the company's goals are, and here are things that, and this is owning your own development, here are ways that I've identified that I can build my skill set to help achieve those goals. What do you think? Am I missing something? And sometimes it's easier when it's somebody else looking in on our own development than to do it, just by yourself. But that's what I would recommend is thinking, looking at that bigger picture for the whole company, and thinking, well, what do I notice is either missing on my team, or within me as an individual, and how, and again, looking at different professional development offerings and thinking, I'm connecting the dots of, we're trying to improve our innovation. Well, here's a course or certificate that I can take that specifically I see the skills that I will walk away with include innovation, and connecting that dot. That would be how I would recommend. Thank you for that great question. The final tip here on developing that continuous learning mindset is staying vital. So this could often be forgotten in our quest to do more, do better, but really we are humans at the center of this, right? We need to think about getting enough rest, taking care of our bodies and moving our bodies, and eating foods that nourish our bodies. And I know you're probably thinking, Jennifer, this is a education webinar. Why are you talking about this? But truly, can be some, these are the foundations and building blocks of having, being productive and engaged, and as I'm talking about, needing to get a little bit more rest, being alert enough and energetic to pursue our development is when we are taking care of these three areas. So we are at the 42-minute mark. So we have, about 15 minutes for questions, but I wanted to take a moment. We've covered a lot of ground here, and I'd love for you, whether you have, I'm going to do it on my notebook here. It's always great, and this is that reflection, to think, after this presentation, what are 2 to 3 things that you're planning on doing after this webinar? Maybe it's you want to research the different skills that you want to build yourself. Maybe it's taking a look at the careers page for Pula and seeing what are different roles that I would love, in a year or 6 months want to grow into. Maybe it's who could I reach out to internally to identify a mentor within the company who I could have a virtual coffee chat or virtual tea with once a month. If you want to let us know in the chat something that you plan on doing, I would love to hear that. Otherwise, you can keep it to yourself, but I will give us a few moments. And I do want to do this live because this is what helps reinforce our learning. And then we'll move into Q&A, and I'll give you the program overview. Did anyone want to share one of your takeaways or what you plan to do? And welcome to those who've joined. I've just now seen the attendee list and how it has grown since I had to remove my double screen. So here, I will share, we have a Pula page specifically for for you all. So you can check out the scholarship page there. You all automatically get 10% off. It says MBA, but it's any of the offerings that we have, courses, certificates, degrees. So if you're even just curious, I'd recommend, you click into there. You can use your work email, and so then it'll be connected, and our system will know to apply that discount. And connect with one of our Nexford advisors who are going to be able to give you a much more in-depth, you could say, oh, I've identified here are the skills that I want to build. Do you think that realistically this course or certificate are going to help me achieve that? So I love this. So Mercy has shared that she's going to reconnect with my mentor. It's been a minute, and be intentional about mapping my time for learning. I think that's wonderful, Mercy. And it's, sometimes the things that we want to do might seem obvious when you write it down, but then we think, gosh, it's been 6 months, a year since I've reached out to somebody to give them an update on how I'm doing. And I think too, what we often see in this market, this job market, someone that maybe helped you a year ago, maybe get your job at Pula, maybe they're job seeking now, right? So when you reach out, it's not only about taking and getting that insight. I know every one of you on this call has something valuable to offer your own mentors, and having that like symbiotic relationship of, there are going to be times when people help you, and there are going to be a lot of times when you're going to be helping others. And I know that you have a lot of value add as well. So remember, when you're reaching out to people, I've had it happen where I think, oh, I need to reach out to ask for this person for some advice or help. And they think, and they respond and say, actually, I'd love to chat because I'm in my own career transition, and I would have had no idea, if I hadn't reached out. So that's a great takeaway. Mercy, thank you for sharing. I'll share briefly here our programs, and I'm going to share my screen. Our program overview, because you're probably wondering, okay, Jennifer, what are the actual programs that I could enroll in? So we have, like I said, you can click here. We have undergraduate degrees, graduate degrees, certificates, and courses. So I clicked into our MBA, and we have different specializations within. So, an MBA without a specialization, sustainability, which I think would be very interesting for many of you, doing business across the world, also with this global call here, I think, everyone being based everywhere, e-commerce, advanced IAI and the future of automation, and then specialization in managing hyperconnectivity. So I opened up the sustainability one because I thought that would be the most interesting and relevant to you all. But again, of course, different people have different needs, and I'm putting that in the chat. But what I like here is it's very clear for each of our courses and all of our programs. It gives you a clear map. How long is this going to take? How much time am I going to be putting into this? From our own assessment of past learners, this is what we think to be the level of effort, the format, and then the cost. And you can see here, again, we have this workplace alignment model where we are pulling from real world real world jobs and employer demands to build our curriculum. So here we have food and agribusiness, renewable energy, and managing healthcare. And then you can click in to see a specific course, like I've done here. You can see how long it takes, how many courses, and then what jobs are actually going to be relevant to this course. And here, again, every single course, you can walk away and say, this is what I'm going to be learning when I've completed this course. Here are the key skills that I will be building, because we want all of the learning that our Nexford community are going through to actually have a real world application on the other end. Learning for learning's sake is great, and we embrace that curiosity and desire to have lifelong learning. And ultimately, we also know when you enroll and invest in yourself, you want to know what you're coming out with on the other end. So there's lots of great, FAQs here, what the learning experience is like. When I follow up, I will share a link to one of our virtual tours. We don't have the time here to go through the back end. What is the actual learning experience? What does it look like? But we have a webinar that you can check out where you can actually see, what does the course look like on the back end, so you can get a better understanding. But yes, I'll pause there, and I would love to hear any questions that you have. And I want to reiterate my thanks to Mercy and Lynn for inviting me to give this presentation, and to all of you for making the time to be here. It really, I know you have busy schedules, and I appreciate that you've made the time today for Nexford to be part of your day. Again, my name is Jennifer Bongura. I am Nexford's Director of Career Innovation, and it's been a real pleasure to be with you here today. And yes, we will share. So I'm going to follow up. We'll share a recording of this. I'll share that with you, Lynn, for distribution. And we can, and I'll share a copy of the presentation in addition to the links that I shared with our program overview and the Pula scholarship page. And I'll pause here. So if you have any questions and want to put them in the chat. Thank you so much, Mercy. I'm glad this was insightful, and we're looking forward to, future engagement as well. It's really exciting what you all are building, and the lives that you're changing. So I'm, feel very excited about it. Thank you, Lynn. So Bernard, Chukwuma, Helga, Leonard, Lynn, Mercy, Mubrak, Nasirian, Samuel, Viola, Zepha, I want to say thank you. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will look forward to staying in touch. I will include my email in the presentation. If you have questions and want to follow up directly, I am just an email away. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care.